You know, sometimes it only takes 1 second, one tiny moment to change your whole life. And truth is, I never thought that moment for me would come through a single text message. Not gonna lie, I can still feel the vibration of that phone in my hand, like it's burned into my skin. It was a Thursday night, late, around 11:37 p.m., and I was sitting on the couch in our small apartment in Boston, sipping cold coffee that had been reheated twice. My girlfriend, well, she used to be my girlfriend, my everything, was in the shower humming some song, something slow and romantic. Just a few hours earlier, she had kissed me on the cheek and said, "You and me, forever." And I believed her. I really believed her. We had been together almost 4 years. We met in the most cliché way, at a little cafe near my old job, the Green Bean Cafe, where the smell of cinnamon rolls would hit you the second you opened the door. She wore this yellow cardigan that day, ordered a caramel latte, $4.50, and when she smiled at the barista, I swear the whole place lit up. I was hooked. I mean, you ever had that happen? That instant where you just know you're done for. That was me. And from that moment, I thought I'd found the one. For years, we built this life together. Friday, pizza nights with extra olives. Sunday morning walks by the Charles River with that cheap iced coffee from Dunkin'. Her leaving sticky notes on my desk with little hearts and, "Don't forget lunch, babe." And then, of course, the promises. She promised me forever. She told me she wanted a house with a porch swing, 2 kids, maybe even a dog. We even joked about what kind of wedding cake we'd pick. She wanted vanilla with strawberries. I wanted chocolate with peanut butter. We laughed about it. But you see, laughter doesn't mean forever. Promises don't either. That night, I was scrolling through old photos of us, her goofy face with whipped cream on her nose, us at Fenway Park eating overpriced hot dogs, and my phone buzzed. Just once, a number I didn't recognize. No name saved, just unknown number. And I swear, my chest tightened. I opened it, and my world shifted. "I missed last night. When will we meet again?" That's all it said. 13 words. 13 words that punched me harder than anything ever could. I just stared at the screen. My hand froze, coffee halfway to my mouth. I remember the cup shaking, a little brown drop landing on my jeans, but I didn't even care. My brain just screamed, "Last night? Meet again? Who is this?" And here's the thing. It didn't say her name. It didn't say my name. But my gut told me everything. I glanced toward the bathroom. The water was still running, steam curling under the door, her voice humming like nothing in the world was wrong. And I just sat there, heart racing, thumb hovering over that message, wondering if I should reply, wondering if maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't even for her. But then, not gonna lie, another thought hit me. Why was my girlfriend's phone on the counter earlier, face down, screen dimmed? Why did she grab it so fast at dinner when it buzzed? You ever notice small things too late? That was me. Every little red flag I had ignored suddenly lined up like dominoes ready to crash. I put my phone down on the armrest, rubbed my temples, tried to breathe. But the truth is, I couldn't stop staring at that text. My mind replayed every word she had said to me in the past week. Just yesterday, she told me she was working late with her team on some project. She came home smelling like someone else's cologne. Not mine. Definitely not mine. And now this. My chest felt tight, my ears buzzing, like the whole world was spinning around me. And then I heard the shower turn off. The humming stopped. My heart pounded in my throat. I knew I had only seconds before she walked out in her towel, smiling, kissing my forehead like she always did. My phone was still glowing with that text. I had to decide, do I confront her right there? Or do I wait, pretend I don't know, and dig deeper? My stomach twisted. I wasn't ready, not yet. So I flipped the phone face down, pretended nothing happened. But the thing is, once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. She came out, towel wrapped tight, water dripping from her hair. She laughed when she saw me staring, said, "What?" in that playful way of hers. And I forced a smile, forced my voice to sound steady as I said, "Nothing. Just thinking about us." She kissed me, soft, warm, and whispered, "Forever, remember." And I wanted to believe it. I really did. But in the back of my head, 13 words from a stranger burned like fire. I miss last night. When will we meet again? And that was the beginning of the end. Truth is, after that night, nothing felt the same. You ever try to act normal while your whole chest feels like it's collapsing? That was me. The next morning she was in the kitchen making scrambled eggs, humming like she always did, and she slid a plate across the counter to me with that smile, the one that used to make me believe in forever. But now all I could see was that text glowing in the dark, and I kept hearing those words, "I miss last night. When will we meet again?" I poked at the eggs, forced to laugh when she asked about my day, but inside, my brain was running wild. I needed answers. Not gonna lie, I became a detective in my own house. I started noticing things I had ignored for months. Her phone? Always face down now. She'd take it to the bathroom every time. Notifications silenced. She claimed it was because of work stress, but come on. Who silences every single buzz, every single ring? Then there were the late nights. She'd say, "I have to stay at the office, babe. Deadlines are brutal." And I wanted to trust her, I really did. But something about the way she avoided eye contact made me sick. One night I checked the Uber receipts on our shared email. She hadn't gone downtown like she said. She had gone across the river to a neighborhood we had no reason to visit. That's when my hand started shaking. And guess what? The next morning she wore a new perfume. Not floral, not the one she always used. It was musky, heavier, like something I'd never smelled on her before. She said, "Oh, it was a gift from a coworker." But her voice cracked when she said it. And here's the thing. Once your trust is cracked, even the smallest detail feels like a nail in the coffin. My friends started to notice too. At a dinner party, my buddy Jake leaned over and whispered, "She seems distracted. Everything okay with you two?" And I lied. I smiled and said, "Yeah, everything's perfect." Because I was too scared to admit that maybe it wasn't. The paranoia ate me alive. I stayed up at night staring at the ceiling, replaying every laugh, every hug, every promise she made. "Forever, babe. You're my only one. We'll build our life together." Lies? Or was I imagining things? Then came the second text, 2 weeks after the first one. Same unknown number. This time it buzzed while she was in the shower again. My stomach dropped as I picked up the phone. "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." My hands trembled so bad I nearly dropped it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick the bathroom door open and demand the truth. But instead, I just sat there, staring at the steam under the door, listening to her sing off key. And I thought, do I really want to know? Do I want the answer that bad? And I'm thinking, yes, I had to know. That night I made a plan. I told her I had to work late. She kissed me on the cheek, said, "Don't stay too long." And the moment she left the apartment, I followed. My heart pounded so loud I swear people on the street could hear it. She walked fast, clutching her phone, checking over her shoulder once like she felt something. She grabbed an Uber on the corner and I jumped in a cab, told the driver, "Follow that car." It felt like some bad movie, but it was my life. The ride ended across the river again, in front of a fancy restaurant with glowing chandeliers. She stepped out, smoothed her dress, and then there he was. A tall guy in a gray suit, maybe early 30s, slicked back hair. He kissed her on the cheek and she laughed, loud, carefree, the laugh she used to save for me. My chest ached. I wanted to run, to scream, to break the glass windows of that place, but I froze. I just watched them walk inside, her hand brushing his arm like they'd done it 1,000 times before. I sat in the cab, gripping the seat so hard my knuckles turned white. The driver asked, "You okay, man?" I couldn't answer. I couldn't breathe. The truth was right there in front of me. She wasn't mine anymore. She hadn't been for a long time. And the cruel part? She still came home every night, still kissed me, still whispered forever. But forever was already gone. That night I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I went home before she did, sat on the couch in the dark, and when she walked in 2 hours later with her heels in her hand and that fake yawn, I pretended to be asleep. But inside I was planning how to get the truth, planning how to end this. And guess what? The third text was the one that broke me completely. You know, people say the third time's the charm, but in my case, the third text was the nail in the coffin. It came on a Tuesday afternoon while she was at yoga, or at least that's what she said. I was at my desk, trying to focus on spreadsheets that suddenly felt meaningless when my phone buzzed. Same number. I can't stop thinking about that weekend getaway. Same place next month? My throat went dry, my palms sweaty. Weekend getaway? Same place? Next month? That wasn't just a fling. That was a pattern. That was a whole other life she was living behind my back. I couldn't sit still. I closed my laptop, left work early, and sat in my car just staring at the screen, reading those words over and over until they blurred. You ever had that moment where anger and heartbreak mix together until you don't know if you want to cry or break something? That was me. But truth is, I didn't want to explode. Not yet, I wanted proof. Cold, undeniable proof. So I started digging. First, I went through our shared bank statements. Hidden between grocery runs and utility bills were charges I didn't recognize. 2 nights at a boutique hotel in Cambridge, a dinner at some rooftop bar, roses from a florist we had never used. When I confronted her casually about the hotel charge, she smiled too quickly, said, "Oh, that was for a work conference, babe." But the thing is, her job never sends her to Cambridge, and when I asked what the conference was about, she froze for half a second before saying, "Marketing strategies." She doesn't even work in marketing. That's when I knew she was building lie on top of lie. So I decided to build my case. I set up a cheap recording app on an old phone and slid it under the passenger seat of her car. I know it sounds crazy, but desperation makes you do things you never thought you would. And guess what? 2 days later, when I retrieved the phone and played it back, my stomach twisted. Her voice, laughing, whispering, and then his voice deep and smooth, saying, "Don't worry, he'll never find out." My whole body went numb. I must have listened to that clip 10 times in a row, each time wishing it was fake, wishing it was some cruel prank. But it wasn't. It was real. That night, she came home late again, hair slightly messy, lipstick smudged. She threw her bag on the couch, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Long day, babe?" I just nodded, my hands gripping the recorder in my pocket so hard I thought it might break. I wanted to scream in her face, but instead I smiled. Because I had a plan. The next weekend we went to dinner with her parents. They adored me. Always said I was the perfect guy for their daughter. Over plates of pasta and red wine, her mom asked when we'd set a date for the wedding. My girlfriend squeezed my hand under the table and said, "Soon, very soon." And I almost laughed. Soon? While she was sneaking around with someone else? I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and stared at my reflection. My eyes were bloodshot, my jaw tight. I whispered to myself, "Get through tonight. Just get through tonight." When I came back, she was scrolling on her phone, smiling at something. I leaned over just enough to see the screen, and my heart dropped. Same unknown number, a new message. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Same place. She quickly locked the screen when she noticed me, but it was too late. I had seen enough. That night, lying in bed next to her, I made my decision. No more waiting, no more pretending. Tomorrow I was going to confront her, but not just in private. No, I wanted her lies to be exposed, undeniable, unforgettable. I wanted the truth out in the open, where she couldn't spin it, where she couldn't twist it into another excuse. So I planned it out. I printed the hotel receipts. I saved screenshots of the texts. I transferred the recording to my phone. I even called the boutique hotel pretending to confirm our reservation for next month, and the receptionist said her name with his. That was the final nail. My forever was already gone, and now I was ready to bury it. That night I barely slept. My chest was heavy, my mind racing, but my purpose was clear. Tomorrow everything would come crashing down. And here's the thing. I didn't even know then that the confrontation wouldn't just reveal her secret. It would reveal something darker I never saw coming. The next day I woke up with my stomach twisted in knots like I'd swallowed a fistful of glass. Truth is, I didn't know if I was ready, but I also knew I couldn't live another day pretending everything was fine, so I set the stage. I invited her to dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, the little place on Hanover Street where we had our first anniversary, where the walls were painted red and the smell of garlic bread filled the air the second you walked in. I made a reservation for 7 p.m., told her I wanted a special night, just us. She smiled wide, kissed me, said, "You're so sweet," and I almost gagged at the lie dripping from her lips. But what she didn't know was that I had also invited 2 more guests, her parents. If there was going to be a confrontation, I wanted witnesses, people she couldn't spin her story to. That night I wore the navy blazer she always said made me look like a man with his life together. My hands shook as I buttoned it, but I steadied myself, slid the printed receipts into my pocket, checked my phone with the recording and screenshots one last time. This was it, no turning back. When we arrived, she looked radiant in her emerald dress, her hair falling in soft curls. She laughed as the waiter poured wine, touched my hand across the table, whispered, "I love you." And I almost broke right there, because part of me still wanted to believe her, part of me still wanted forever. But then her parents walked in, surprised but happy to see us. "What's this?" her mother asked, hugging me tight. A family dinner? My girlfriend froze for a second, then forced a smile. Yeah, a family dinner. The four of us sat down, menus open, small talk flowing. Her father asked about my job, her mother gushed about grandkids someday, and all the while, my heart pounded louder and louder, waiting for the right moment. Then it came. Her phone buzzed on the table. She reached for it quickly, too quickly, but not before I saw the preview flash across the screen. Same number. Leaving now. Can't wait to hold you. My chest exploded with rage. I put my fork down, leaned back, and said, "Why don't you read that text out loud?" The whole table went silent, her face drained of color. "What?" she whispered. "Read it," I repeated, my voice low but sharp. Her parents looked confused, glancing between us. She stammered, It's just a work thing." I laughed bitterly. "Work? That's what you call him now?" I pulled my phone from my pocket, tapped play, and her laughter filled the restaurant, followed by his voice. "Don't worry, he'll never find out." Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her father's eyes widened. My girlfriend's eyes filled with tears. How did you?" she sputtered. I slammed the receipts on the table. Hotel charges circled in red. "Work conference, huh? Marketing strategies. You don't even work in marketing." The waiter froze nearby, unsure whether to step in. Other diners turned to stare. And me? I didn't care. I wanted the world to hear. "You promised me forever," I said, my voice shaking. But forever ended with one text from a stranger. "Do you even remember what you said to me last night? Do you remember whispering, 'Always you,' while planning your next getaway?" She burst into tears, reaching across the table, but I pulled my hand back. "Please," she cried, "please, it's not what it looks like." Her father barked, "Not what it looks like. He has receipts, he has recordings. Who is this man?" And she broke. She dropped her head into her hands and whispered, It's someone from work. Someone from work," I spat. "He kissed you outside that restaurant like you belonged to him. How many lies did you tell? How many nights did you come home smelling like him while telling me forever?" Her mother sobbed quietly, her father muttered curses under his breath, and I felt strangely calm. Like the storm had passed and all that was left was wreckage. I stood up, pulled the small velvet box from my pocket, the ring I had bought just 3 weeks earlier. I set it down gently in front of her. "Forever was supposed to start with this," I said softly. "But tonight, forever ends." She looked up, mascara streaking down her cheeks, reaching out as if to stop me. But I stepped back. "Don't," I warned. "Don't touch me. Don't say another word." The restaurant was dead silent except for the clinking of a glass in the corner. I turned to her parents. "I'm sorry you had to see this. I'm sorry she had to show you who she really is this way." And with that, I walked out. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but it felt cleaner than the poison I'd been breathing inside. My phone buzzed again as I reached the car, another text from the same unknown number. Did he find out? I stared at the screen, my hands trembling, and thought, this isn't over. Because if I was going to walk away, I wanted to know exactly who had destroyed my forever. And trust me, the answer was darker than I imagined. I wish I could tell you that walking out of that restaurant was the end, that I closed the door and never looked back. But truth is, when you've been betrayed like that, your heart doesn't just break, it demands answers. I sat in my car that night, phone still buzzing with that cursed number, and I stared at the message. Did he find out? My chest tightened. Whoever was on the other end wasn't just some fling, wasn't just a stranger in a gray suit. They were bold enough to text her seconds after I exposed everything. And I needed to know who. The next morning, I called the number from a burner phone I'd bought at a convenience store. My hands were sweating, my throat dry. It rang twice, then a man's voice answered, casual, confident. "Hey, babe, you free?" My stomach dropped. It wasn't just some coworker. It was a voice I recognized. A voice I had heard in my own living room, drinking my beer, laughing at my jokes. It was Mark, my so-called best friend since college. I almost dropped the phone. "Mark?" I whispered, but I hung up before he could hear me. My heart pounded like a war drum. All those nights he just stopped by to say hi. All those times she insisted we invite him to dinner. The way they sometimes shared inside jokes I didn't get. Suddenly, it all made sense, and I felt sick. Sick that the person I trusted most after her was the one who had been stabbing me in the back. That evening I drove to his apartment. My fists were clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. When he opened the door, his face went pale. "Man, what are you doing here?" I shoved the phone in his face, the text thread open. Care to explain? He stammered, eyes darting, lips trembling. And then he said the words that finished me. She came to me first. She said you were too busy, that you didn't see her anymore. I didn't mean for it to happen. I laughed, bitter and broken. Didn't mean for it to happen? You've been sneaking around with her for months, maybe years, while sitting across from me like a brother. You meant every damn second of it. He tried to step closer to reach out like old times, but I shoved him back. You took forever from me. You both did. And guess what? Now you can have each other. I turned and walked away, his voice calling my name down the hall, but I didn't stop. Not this time. That night, I packed her things into boxes. Her dresses, her books, even the stupid mug she loved that said, "World's Best Girlfriend." I left them outside the door. When she came back later, tears streaming down her face, begging me to listen, I didn't open it. I just said one thing through the wood. Forever ended the moment you lied. Don't come back. And then I sat on the floor, surrounded by silence, the weight of betrayal pressing down on me like concrete. For weeks I replayed everything in my head. The cafe where we met, the sticky notes with hearts, the promises whispered at midnight, and I realized those things weren't lies at the time. Maybe she meant them once. Maybe Mark was just the crack that widened into an earthquake. But does that matter? Forever is supposed to be unbreakable, and she broke it. So I started rebuilding, slowly, painfully. Therapy sessions on Mondays, long runs along the river on weekends, deleting old photos one by one. And truth is, some nights I still hear her laugh in my head. Some nights I wake up reaching for her hand. But then I remember that text, those 13 words that shattered my life. I miss last night. When will we meet again? And I remind myself, I survived. I walked through fire and came out burned, scarred, but alive. And now I know better. Forever isn't a promise someone gives you. It's the choice you make for yourself, every single day. And me? I'm done letting someone else write my forever.